In this session, we're going to continue using our text, The Owl Who Was Afraid of the Dark, to create our non-fiction writing. And in this session, we're going to be looking at how we can gather facts and information to use in a non-chronological report. So firstly, can you remember back to our last session and what a non-chronological report is? Think about those words, non-chronological and report. Pause the video, have a little think, and come and join me when you're ready to share your ideas. Perfect. A non-chronological report is a report, so it's a factual piece of information, and it's organised not by time, so not starting with the earliest to the latest, but this is organised by topic, so you're going to have different sections of it about different things. So now we've recapped on what a non-chronological report is. Can you remember any of the features we discovered in our last session? Have a little pause, think about this, and come and join me when you're ready to share some of these different features we looked at. So how many of these features did you manage to remember? If you remember, we had our heading. So in this case, Tawny Owls, a non-chronological report needs a large eye-catching heading so that you know exactly what this report is going to be about. As we discussed before, non-chronological reports are organised into paragraphs, with each of these paragraphs focusing on a different topic or different idea that you want to discuss. And each of these paragraphs is going to need a subheading, which you can see circled in red. And these subheadings tell you exactly what that chunk or that paragraph is going to be about. In pink you can spot the images, and these images include things like photographs, illustrations, or label diagram, and show you a little bit more about the subject. And normally what these images will have is the captions that you can see circled in blue, and these explain a little bit more about what's being shown in the picture. And the final part we looked at was our bullet pointed list in purple, and this is for those extra things that you think the reader's going to find really fascinating but don't quite fit with the different paragraphs you've got. Now we know about those ideas, what we're going to be looking at in this session is going to be gathering our own information to write a non-chronological report about barn owls. So remembering that Plop was a barn owl, so we can think about the things we've already known. So before we carry on, what do you already know about barn owls? Have a little bit to think about what you've learned about barn owls from our story, The Owl Who Was Afraid of the Dark. And then come and join me when you're ready. So pause the video and think about this question. So now you've started thinking a little bit about what you already know about barn owls. And in this session, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be researching even more about it. Now, when you're doing research, it's important to write notes, to jot down the facts we find out. However, we've got to do it in a certain way. Copying out whole sentences, paragraphs, or even chapters isn't always going to help us to gather this information. Instead, we need to write down the basic facts as quickly and efficiently as we can, so we can basically remember them later on. Now remember, when we're planning a non-chronological report, we need to find out facts. We don't need opinions or stories. We need to learn about as much as we can about barn owls as possible, so that we can write a really interesting report. And to do this, we need to gather as many facts as possible. So let's have a little look at some information that we can look at and try and find the notes we want to make. So here's our first paragraph, and what I want you to think about with this is, what is the paragraph about? And what is the key information they give you about that? So female barn owls are slightly heavier than male barn owls. Whilst males weigh on average of 330 grams, female barn owls weigh an average of 360 grams. However, when females are in breeding season, they can weigh up to 420 grams before laying an egg. So what do you think this paragraph is about? And what do you think the key information that you're being given? Have a little pause, have a little look at this, and see whether you can identify any of the information that is in there. So here you can see that I've identified a little bit of information. See whether this can help you work out what this paragraph's about. Males weigh on average 330 grams. Female barn owls weigh an average of 360 grams. They can weigh up to 425 grams before laying an egg. So here you can see that what we're actually looking at here is about the difference in weight or the difference in size between a male and a female barn owl. Now, I don't want to copy out this whole paragraph. I don't even want to copy out the sentences because I just want the ideas so that I can put these facts into my own words. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make some bullet pointed notes on this paragraph. And you can see that I've now condensed that whole chunk of text into this. Females weigh 360 grams or up to 425 grams before laying an egg. Males weigh 330 grams. Do you think I've written down everything I need to help me remember this key information? Or do you think I've missed anything out? Because this is where you as a researcher and you as a writer will maybe come up with some slightly different things than I'm pointing out. For example, some of you might be thinking breeding season is important. Some might be wanting to highlight the fact that female barn owls are heavier than males. But that's entirely up to you. But my view is these two pieces of information are all I need in order to help me write a little bit further. So now let's have a look at another section, another piece of information about this. Barn owls need to be able to fly quietly in order to sneak up on their prey and are known as silent predators because of their ability to fly just centimetres away from their prey without being detected. Most wings make a whooshing sound as the air passes over them, but barn owl wing feathers have adapted to be able to fly in almost total silence. So thinking about this section, pause it and see if you can pick out some of the key information from this paragraph, and could you put these into a simple set of bullet points? Have a go. Pause the video and come back to me when you think you've got some ideas. So these are the parts that I felt were of most interest, and I've underlined them. Do you agree with these? Silent predators. Fly just centimetres away from their prey without being detected. Barn owl wing feathers have adapted to be able to fly in almost total silence. And looking at this section, you can see that it's all about barn owls flying. And just as you've already done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now change these notes, these things that I've underlined, to make them into that bullet pointed set of notes. And you can see with these that I've made some little bits even easier to write by using symbols and using abbreviations. So we've got barn owls equal silent predators. Can fly centimetres away from prey without being noticed. BO, barn owls, feathers adapted to fly in silence. So I'm starting to make these notes even shorter, knowing that it's enough information for me to write when I need to later. So let's have a look at our next section. At night, barn owls can't rely on their eyes to hunt. They need to use their keen sense of hearing too. Barn owls have ears that are slightly different shapes, with one ear being slightly higher than the other two. The left ear listens to sounds above, and the right ear listens to sounds below the owl when it's flying, and this all helps them to hear better. So what do you think this part of our text is talking about? If you had to give it a subheading, what would you say it was telling us about owls? And then what I want you to do is pause on the screen, and I want you to write your bullet points about this section. So I want you to get 2 or 3, maybe 4, depending on how many you think, ideas that you think are going to be useful, and jot them down. Remember, you can be using that abbreviation of BO to mean barn owl, and you can use some other symbols if you think they're going to help you be able to make these notes concisely, making them nice and short, but still making them clear for yourself to write. So now you're ready to do a little bit of research on barn owls, making your notes ready for turning them into a non-chronological report as the week goes on. But today, just focus on getting the information you're interested in and writing those notes. To help you, you can use a mind map like this to help organise these ideas. So in the middle we've got our topic, our barn owls, and then we're going to be able to find out some facts, remembering we're just going to be making notes, those bullet pointed notes of the key things. So you'll be looking for the appearance, what do barn owls look like? The diet, what do barn owls eat? The life expectancy, how long should a barn owl live for? What things may cause that life expectancy to decrease, what might cause a barn owl to live less time or maybe live longer. For habitat, whereabouts would I be looking to find where barn owls live? And why are they going to be good places for them to live? Breeding, can you tell me anything about baby barn owls? And then of course anything else you find we can put along with our fun facts. So how are we going to find out this information? Well, we've got some different choices. You can go on the internet and find something out. You could go and ask people. You maybe know some things already, or you've got some books all about it. However, another place that we can look at is on the website, where you will find some information about different aspects of our barn owls. Now remember, your job isn't to write in full sentences. It isn't to copy out these paragraphs. What it is to think about the important information which each of these sections has and write it in those notes that you will be able to understand later on your mind map. And now we've looked through that on how to gather facts and make these notes. Now it's time for you to start putting that into practice and creating your own notes ready to use at a later date to create your own non-chronological reports. Good luck with this, and I'll be really fascinated to see what information you've been able to get.